Yoichi Nagumo and Shishiba, two of the most interesting and strongest characters in Sakamoto Days, have filled the community with curiosity on their strength comparatively to their fellow Order members. Now, the Order is a group consisting of the strongest assassins within the Japanese Association of Assassins, aka the JAA. Now, each of these assassins are fully equipped with their own talents and abilities that put them at the top of the verse, although there are two who have totally surpassed the rest. One goes by the name Yoichi Nagumo. Nagumo is a chilled and laid-back assassin who fights with primarily tricks and off-guard attacks, and Shishiba being a nonchalant, cold-hard killer who only cares to get the job done. But there's only one real question in this video. Who wins in a fight between Shishiba and Nagumo? Today in this video, we're going to be talking about who wins in a fight between Shishiba and Nagumo. There's three things I'm going to be going over, that being speed, durability, and AP. First, we'll be starting off with speed, and we'll do Nagumo first. The first speed feat we get for Nagumo is when he's met with Minimalist, the death row escapee. When disguising himself as Akko, he's able to break and stab Minimalist before he's even able to react. Although this is off guard, this doesn't really matter because of the feats that Nagumo is able to display later on in the fight. Soon after this, Nagumo totally speed blitzes Minimalist after Minimalist tries to throw a punch at him, even being able to steal Minimalist's phone without him even noticing. Then speed blitzes him again after eventually ending the fight. But these feats aren't that impressive, seeing that Minimalist, to our knowledge, has only defeated regular civilians and is only praised on his amazing strength. Later on in the series, we get better feats for Nagumo when he crosses paths with Yotsumura. We get Nagumo's first good feat when he's able to dodge an attack by Yotsumura's 3-section staff. Not only this, Nagumo's also able to swap hands with Yotsumura, and this is pretty impressive, seeing that Yotsumura was able to go hand to hand with people like Shishiba and Osaragi in that same fight. Noting that 3 Order members is too many, implying that he can maybe take 1 to 2 on. A couple of pages later, it gets revealed that Yotsumura was actually a former Order member that was banished, meaning going toe to toe with this guy was no mere feat. But I do think it should be mentioned that neither fighter, Yotsumura or Nagumo, was shown to be stronger in this fight, so we kind of just have to go off relativity. Also, I'm not that confident that Yotsumura or Nagumo was going all out, seeing that Nagumo let Yotsumura get away. But even given all that information, I still think this is a really good feat for Nagumo. Now, this is the part when we get into Nagumo's best feats when he's put up against Gaku, who by far is his most notable fight. Now, before I talk about the speed feats in this fight, I think it's pretty important to put a benchmark on how strong Gaku is so we get a real understanding of how important these feats are. To put it into perspective, Gaku is Uzuki's right-hand man and the second strongest in Slur's group, same group that produced multiple fighters on Order level. Gaku is above characters like Kumanomi, who's able to go toe-to-toe with Hyo and beat him, as well as block and attack characters like Shishiba. Anyway, Nagumo is able to attack and dodge multiple attacks from that same Gaku, and even shows signs of maybe being faster. Moving on to Shishiba, Shishiba has a lot of similar speed feats to Nagumo. Like I mentioned earlier, Shishiba also dodges attacks from characters like Yotsumura, but like I said, it's unclear to whether or not Yotsumura was going all out or Shishiba, so it's very hard to get a gauge on these feats compared to Nagumo. But luckily enough, we actually just get a full-blown fight from Yotsumura and Shishiba just to see who's faster. Starting at the fight, Shishiba is able to dodge an off-guard attack by Yotsumura, then again dodges a point-blank attack from Yotsumura. I think it's also important to mention that Yotsumura had people attack Shishiba off-guard, maybe showing that he didn't have that much confidence that he could beat him. But soon after that, Yotsumura is able to get an attack off on Shishiba. Shishiba also gets an attack off Yotsumura. The fight continues, seeing Shishiba dodge multiple off-guard attacks, but then is eventually hit by one, losing 2 of his fingers, but actually uses it to his advantage, being able to finish off Yotsumura with it. But in this fight, we actually get an interesting statement from Shishiba when he says, "But I've had enough. Every time we face off, I get tired of trying to find a reason to kill you." Now, there are multiple interpretations on this statement, but I think that the best one implies that Shishiba was actually holding back in this fight because Shishiba really did not want to kill his master. For speed, I'm definitely giving this one to Nagumo because I think that Gaku has better speed feats compared to Yotsumura, which is Shishiba's best speed feats. Moving on to durability, I'll start off with Nagumo again. Now, for Nagumo, we're actually going right back to the Gaku fight, seeing as majority of his fights, he's usually just dodging his opponent, so he doesn't get much durability feats until the Gaku fight. Now, back for the Gaku fight, we see Nagumo being able to take attacks, getting sent through multiple walls, and being able to get right back up. He's also able to take a 1-inch punch from Gaku. That same 1-inch punch literally took somebody's head off, so I would say this is a pretty good feat. Next is Shishiba. Back to the Yotamura fight, we're able to see Shishiba block multiple needles with his hammer, as well as taking a full-blown attack through a building with a big wood barrel. But even after that, Shishiba is just basically left unfazed. And right after that, Yotamura hits him in the face with his blade, and again, he only gets a cut on his face and just, again, is left unfazed. Shishiba is also able to block multiple attacks from Yotamura from his blade. That same blade goes through multiple buildings on multiple occasions. Again, Shishiba takes the force of being thrown through an entire building and coming out of it unfazed once again. Shishiba loses 2 fingers to Yotamura and comes out of it unfazed, even being able to use that to his advantage and finish off the fight. A note that I think is important is to also include durability feats for these guys' weapons, seeing as that's what they're going to be using to block each other's attacks. And I think that Shishiba has the best one. Shishiba is able to block multiple attacks from Kunonomi nail attack. This is the same attack that was messing up Kyo, an order member who has the best durability in the show. After mentioning all that, I think it's pretty simple to say that Shishiba has the best durability between the two. Moving on to AP, we'll start with Shishiba. Now, Shishiba doesn't have a lot of notable AP feats, seeing as that the 2 strong opponents that he fights, he's not actually able to get a hit off on Kunonomi, besides an off-guard attack when he explodes his hammer. But he actually is able to get 1 hit off on that fight when he hits Hiruma. But at this point, I'm not really sure where Hiruma scales, so I can't really give a feat for it. Back to the Yotamura fight, we see that Shishiba is able to take half of Yotamura's cheek off just by 1 attack from his hammer. Then later is able to end the fight just by cutting Yotamura's neck. But I mean, that's pretty much all for Shishiba. He doesn't have that many fights, so he doesn't have that many opportunities to show off his AP. But these feats alone are still good. Next is Nagumo, who has some pretty good feats. Even since the beginning of the show, Nagumo has shown how easy it is for him to just cut off people's limbs. Like when he's in the fight with Minimalist and just ends the fight by just cutting off his head. For his best feats, we have to go back to the Gaku fight. And at the beginning of the fight, he's able to cut through Gaku pretty easily with his dual blades. He's also able to hit Humongous Airplane, which smacks Gaku and sends him flying. Then is able to just stab right through Gaku's arm. Following that up by being able to stab him in his stomach using his invisible blade. It's off screen, but he ends the fight by shoving each one of his weapons into Gaku's body. Now, after giving the AP scaling, I think it's also easy to say that Nagumo wins in AP. So that would put Nagumo up in speed and up in AP, and Shishiba would have durability. Not to mention, I think that Nagumo has also shown better feats in actual fighting ability, like being able to beat Gaku, who has shown the best martial arts in the series so far. But this is how I think the fight would actually go. Now, in this setting, I would just put them in a open field, so all they have is Shishiba has his hammer and Nagumo has his multi-tool. Although Shishiba is strong and has a pretty high durability, I just can't see a way where he's able to dodge every single trick that Nagumo pulls out. Also, Nagumo is not only a better fighter, but is faster than Shishiba, and is also stated to be the 2nd strongest in the order by Uzuki himself. But I'm actually pretty confident that Nagumo could beat Shishiba without any tricks at all, just seeing that he has a higher AP and he's faster. The only win con that I see for Shishiba is maybe if he breaks Nagumo's weapon, but he just doesn't have the AP to do so, so I really don't see a way that Shishiba wins this. But that's the video. If you enjoy Sakamoto Days content and you want to see more, make sure to like and comment and subscribe so you can see more Sakamoto Days videos. Peace.